Good morning, this is Paisley. Today I'm going to be making a video about the psychology of self-esteem. So I read this book, The Psychology of Self-Esteem, and it completely blew my mind. So today I just want to really talk about what self-esteem is in psychological terms and why it's so important. So let's start with this. I think we all know that we have brains, right? With that, it's kind of a given that we need to be able to use them effectively. Even if it's like the minutest, simplest task ever, we use our brains for everything. We use our minds. And that, my friend, is amazing. It's an incredible ability that we have. I think we should all be very grateful for our brains. So here's where that ties into self-esteem. As defined in this book, in psychological terms, has two important components. The first part of self-esteem is feeling competent in your own mind. So feeling like you are able to use your mind effectively. Now, you might say, well, obviously I'm competent in my ability to use my mind because, I very effectively use my brain to get out of bed and cook breakfast or buy breakfast or, I'm not a walking disaster. I can navigate my way through the day. And yes, I would say that most people are definitely competent in using their minds at doing basic tasks. Let me give some examples of some scenarios that you may have faced in your life or that you may be facing or that you may face that will have you probably not consciously, unconsciously, questioning your ability to use your mind well. Not only use our minds to get up in the morning and make breakfast, but we also use our minds to get what we want out of life, to make progress, to set goals, to hit those goals. As an example, you are making $20,000 a year, but that's not really enough money to maybe even meet your basic needs, depending on how many family members you have. But it's not the kind of money that you want to be making. It doesn't give you enough to have the lifestyle that you want. You want to be making $100,000 a year. That's awesome. You're making 20. You want to be making 100. That's a problem, right? If you want the lifestyle of somebody who makes $100,000 a year and you're making $20,000 a year and you want to travel and you want to have a lot of fancy clothes or you want to give to charity, but you don't have the ability to do that in the moment because you don't have the money, that's a problem that a lot of people don't know how to solve. This is an example of feeling competent in your ability to use your mind. We use our minds to solve problems. That's a big income gap. If you're making $20,000, you want to be making $100,000, that's a problem that we would then use our minds to solve. However, if you do not feel competent in your ability to solve that problem, it's going to affect the way that you feel about yourself. I'll give you another example. You're in school and you are studying really, really hard. You're taking a lot of notes. You're spending a lot of time doing homework, and yet you just can't seem to get the grades that you want. Maybe you go and see a tutor, or maybe you talk to your teacher, and you just can't really seem to figure out what's going wrong in your routine or your organization, and you can't seem to be getting the grades that you want, that's going to affect the way that you feel about yourself, because you have a problem that you can't seem to use your mind to solve. You might need to make a decision about where you spend your time and your energy. Should I work on this project? Should I work on this project? Should I go for this major? Should I go for this major? What's going to be best for me in the long run? What's going to give me the most joy or the most fulfillment? And you can't seem to make that decision. And so you either just continue going on torturing yourself, or you back down and don't do anything because you can't seem to decide what you want to do. Solving problems, making judgments, decisions, these are things that we use our minds to do, that if we do not feel competent in doing, what this book is saying is at that point, it's affecting your self-esteem. At that point, you do not feel entirely competent to use your mind. You feel like there are certain things in life that you just can't seem to figure out. The second part to self-esteem is feeling worthy of being happy. And so what this author is saying, which by the way, his name is Nathaniel Branden, and he's written a lot of books on self-esteem. Second part is feeling worthy of being happy. And according to this book, what he's saying is that if we don't first feel competent in our ability to use our minds, then we're not really going to feel worthy of being happy in this life, which is really intense, but they affect each other. This is why self-esteem is so incredibly important. There are probably lots of definitions of self-esteem. Sometimes self-esteem can be equated with just being too full of yourself or being cocky, but that's not really what it means. Self-esteem at its core is, yes, I know how to use my mind to figure things out, meaning no matter what problem or situation or dilemma that I get put in, whatever life throws at me, I know how to handle it. I can take care of it. I can take care of myself, because I know how to use my brain effectively in all these situations. Now, this really takes practice. You are feeling worthy of being happy in this life because you know that you got this. Feeling unstoppable, feeling like you can take on any challenge that comes your way, feeling like no matter what gap you have to close, you will find a way to close that gap. Feeling like you know what's best for you, you know how to make the best decisions. That then helps you to feel like you're worthy of being happy. So once you build that competence in yourself, then you really feel worthy. You're like, yeah, man, I still got this. And therefore, I am so deserving of living the happiest life possible. So that's going to be it today on self-esteem. And I'm really excited because there's a lot more to it. And what I really want to focus on moving forward is, what does it look like when you have low self-esteem? How is that manifesting itself? We basically covered what causes it, right? It's that not having that competence in your ability to use your mind. So next time we're going to look at, how do you become competent in your ability to use your mind? How do you really build self-esteem? Stay hungry and stay happy.